Well, I think that's sort of rooted in my initial training in pharmacy school. So I sort of observed that, it's through pharmacy school as well as just growing up living, everybody's taking medication, you see that they responded differently. So especially for drugs like anti-cancer agents in general, those are relatively more toxic, and you see how people had these very bad side effects, or people taking drugs that's not useful. So that's really made me interested in figuring out how a individual might respond to medication and determine that prior to give medication. Sure. So my lab does translational pharmacogenomics. So what that means is we study how genetic components affect drug response, either response or toxicity or side effects, and using their genomic profile. One part of it is doing biomarker discovery. So basically looking for markers that we could use to predict a person's response. The other part is what we call the drug repurposing. So based on your particular genetic profile, decide what drug will be best to treat your disease. Because it's called drug repurposing, so we don't actually develop a compound from scratch like a chemical compound. We use drugs that's already existing, used to treat other medical problem, to sort of repurpose it and use it in a new indication. So I would say it's one, because the nature of my work is very multidisciplinary. So you need a sort of expertise from a lot of different areas. So I need computer scientists who we look at large scale data sets, so that really need the programming skill, and we need the skills to do computational biology. At the same time, we also do experimental validation, so we need sort of the wet side, the experimental side of it. Furthermore, because the translational nature, we don't just stop at the laboratory, we also wanted to make it impact patient care. So in general, we will, for a project to develop in my lab, I will start with writing up a clinical trial protocol that's allow us to collect patient material, but that's going to take a few years to do. And at the same time, we'll start the computational work and generate leads and do laboratory validation. By the time that's done, we're ready to sort of test it in patient sample. So I guess one challenge would be sort of finding the right person. This is clearly, you need a team of people. Nowadays, there are more, especially a few years back, more molecular biologists than computational scientists who knows biology. Recent years it's getting better, but still we need more of this type of hybrid people to be in the field. So, this is all sort of, the pharmacogenomic is really one component, what we call the precision medicine. When you talk to a clinician in general, they will say medicine is always personalized, like medicine is never try to aim at the whole population, which is true. But I think the tools that we developed in the recent year to learn about human genetics, that really gave us another thing that we can use in medical field. So on top of what we already do, based on organ function, liver, kidney, gender, body weight, that sort of thing, to prescribe medication, now we can look at the human gene to study drug response. And this is very, very important in the field of anti-cancer agents, because, like I said earlier, most of the anti-cancer agents are toxic and they're expensive, and they could also, when you're treating cancer, there's that window of time that you want to get it right. You don't want to waste time when tumor is progressing. So all those factors getting the drug right on the first try, very critical. So that's where pharmacogenomics comes. It's a lot. It's that's sort of my life, and that's what I do every day. There's so many different things to do. I do have to prioritize. One thing, I think having a team of good people in the laboratory helps, because once you have they know what they're doing, and letting people taking responsibility to do their jobs and utilizing their creativity. That's important. I think managing people. It definitely requires a lot of effort. I mean, sometimes you do have to look. For me, my main job as researcher, that's the important thing for me. Other things I love to teach, and I think only if when you disseminating those knowledge and having the next generation of researchers that we can all move forward together. So I guess delegate the job and trust people and give them the tool to prosper. That's the important things.